Welcome back to Dice to Pixels, episode 38. We're going to be talking about Unreal Engine and a couple of other topics, including a senator in the US that seems to have lost their fucking mind. Let's get into it. So Unreal 5.2. Holy shit.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blew us. So when we got here today, today being Friday, which would be yesterday for you fine folks watching now, Adrian told us about the Unreal Engine 5.2 tech demos that are on YouTube. Just search it. You'll find them. Holy fudge muffins.
Yeah. So there's two in particular that are legitimately crazy.
Yeah.
I would watch them in the opposite order that I showed them to you tonight, I think. So the first one to watch, I think, would be the motion capture. The thumbnail has a woman's face. It's showing off the
Metahuman.
It's called Metahuman, and it's showing off their new technology for creating a 3D model of somebody's face and then doing live motion capture. Well, not live, but recorded motion capture, and then rendering that out to the actual 3D model. And it's... there's no other word for it. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
They take a few photos and create the model from that. And that's not shown in the demo. That takes some time, but it's not crazy. And then the actual motion capture, they take 45 seconds of video from an iPhone and then render it out. That takes no time at all.
So from the ease of use with just an iPhone, would they need something more high quality for the pictures themselves?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I think the only based on I don't know about the exact method they're using, but I've done the same thing with older technology, so I assume it's more capable of than that. The only thing that was really important to get right with the stuff that I used back in the day was the lighting. You need a fairly good any shadows that are cast during the taking of the photos are going to screw with the model because it can't figure out, or at least it didn't used to be good at figuring out where the face was if it had shadows on it.
That makes sense.
But A, that's probably gotten better, and B, you just need to be well lit. It doesn't need to be perfect studio lighting or anything. You need to be well lit so there aren't a lot of shadows. And usually you take sort of a left and a right, and then sort of a lower. Usually you'll take photos from a little higher, our cameras are elevated because people look weird from below. But in this case, you actually want from below because that's where you get most of the facial information from. So, but you build that model out, and then from there you can I think you could probably do it live. They didn't, and the technology that they've got so far, I don't think is built for live. But it was fast enough that I think you could do it live.
Yeah, it seemed like it probably is just barely not live yet, but they also just needed to talk about the technology. So if it could be done live, they chose not to.
I mean, I think that will be, if it doesn't already support it, I think that will happen very soon.
Yeah.
Because from a render perspective, so all of the renderings that they were doing were on consumer hardware. They weren't crazy server farms or anything. It was a admittedly top of the line Intel chip and a 4090 RTX or whatever card. So we're talking consumer grade hardware, nothing thousands and thousands of dollars worth of consumer grade hardware, but nothing super crazy that's unattainable. I mean, I have a 4070 in my system now. It wouldn't be real time, but I mean, I bet it could render it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what impressed me the most is just for 45 seconds of what the actress, who by the way is the lead actress for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah.
She, I guess, is one of the developers there too.
Yeah.
So she did 45 seconds of just facial emotions and said a few things here and there. And then while they were talking about the whole technical aspect of it, the guy was working away, rendering all of this in minutes.
Yeah, well, and it showed in the video. They show the real-time rendering. It takes seconds, 45 or so, but seconds, not minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible, though.
Very, very cool. So that was the first tech demo, and that is enough on its own to be wow, that is super cool. And honestly, it has some applications in the cinema industry as well as video games. But that's more like for cinematics and stuff like that. The other tech demo, and there are more than just these two, but these two were by far the most impressive. The other tech demo that I would watch second personally is
the next gen graphics tech demo.
Yeah, it's a confluence of a few different technologies that they've been working on for a while, and basically they take like a model Rivian electric truck for a little drive through a very, very densely foliaged forest. And as they go through, they let you know that they're passing into the procedurally generated area and then proceed to like make changes to it live. And goddamn, that's impressive.
Yeah. I know nothing about developing at all, but like just seeing the little bits of changes that they were doing, inserting, removing, changing the number of trees that you could see, the scale, everything like that. And I'm looking like any Joe Schmo at this point, if they had the pieces to build this, could easily build something amazing.
Yeah. And the fact that it like, depending on where you put the element, it naturally figures out whether or not there should be like a fallen tree spanning the ravine and stuff. Watch the video. Seriously watch the video. If you care about video games at all, watch the video. It is legitimately a sign of things to come. And I hope that it means a lot more game developers will use the Unreal Engine and their tool chain. It is the reason less people use Unreal currently is because it does cost money.
Yeah.
It's an approachable amount of money because I do believe the last time I looked at it, I do believe there are like tiered levels for like smaller developers, but it costs money. Unity is not, I don't think Unity is free, but it's pretty close. Like it's not expensive. So that's why a lot of game devs use Unity. And for some games, that's totally fine. Unity is all they need.
Yep.
But I hope a lot more game developers start using Unreal.
Well, even on Unreal right now, the standard license is free to get started to like trial it more or less.
Yes.
And then
they're always free to like download and use and play with and build.
Yeah.
It's when you actually start making money, there is essentially a licensing fee.
Yeah, enterprise program or custom license. So the enterprise is $1,500 per seat per year, but like if you're making a game seriously at that point, then it's probably well worth that.
Yeah, if you expect to be successful releasing your game, even modestly successful, there is no particular barrier to Unreal. And if you use the Unreal Engine, you get some amount of benefit by releasing on the Unreal Store as well.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Like initially, when you see like the foliage and just the dynamic lighting and reflections and all that, and it looks fantastic, like damn near lifelike. Like it's that good. But the fella's controlling this all in real time, and when they finally come up to it's a Rivian truck. Yeah. And you're looking at it and you're like, holy crap, like it looks really good. But then they just, at one point they do a texture change and it goes into like, they show you all the polygons like being used. Yeah. And you're like, holy crap.
Did he say it was 17 million polygons?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Like I would not,
It was absolutely nuts. And then they shifted again. So they put this like iridescent, it almost looked like gemstone.
It was like an opalescent.
Yeah. But then it looked like there was like just how it looked like you're looking through like a jar and you're seeing this inside like on the body. And just the way the dirt reflects and it looked amazing.
I'll tell you,
blown away by this.
The two things that impressed me most, because I look for the details and stuff like this, and honestly, like the opal texture, it looked great. It did. Like it was one of the most visually appealing parts of that video.
I mean, I want an opal textured car now.
Well, maybe they'll start offering one now.
It'll be easy to find.
But like that, I'm like, I could make that. Oh, not at the level of quality that they were showing, but like that to me is not all that impressive. That's just some subsurface blending and a couple of texture layers. The tire deformation in real time blows me away. If you watch this video and pay attention to the truck's tires as it rolls over stones, the tires deform and they look pretty fucking good. That's one thing that blew my mind. And then the other thing is, if you're watching when it drives through the river, they did an unfortunate camera cut there because they were trying to show off the water. And it looks great. I've seen the Unreal, the new water before, and it looks great. It washed the dirt off the truck.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, because right down near the bottom of the fender, it was like just covered in dirt. And when they drive through it, it's like gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I wish they hadn't cut it there, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, goddamn, it just washed the fender of the truck as it went through the river. Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
So I'm sure throughout this, I will have posted up a couple of
my God.
videos, right? Yeah. So those are the details that I was watching for when I was looking at that. Because I'm like, most of the stuff that you're seeing, I'm like, I could make a tech demo that... Yeah. I'd need more, like, the part of the impressiveness of what they were doing was how fast it was rendering. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, at the end of the day, whatever. Like, that's not that impressive to me. But when the water was being simulated in real time and the suspension is being simulated and the tires are deforming and the water is cleaning off the dirt, I'm like, oh, yeah, you've sold me. Yeah. This is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, because how many times have you seen, like, in games where it's like, yeah, your character gets wet, but then it just seems like instantly they're dry.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, to some degree, you're still going to do that just because you don't want to be dripping for 2 hours like you really would be. But but little things like that were the stuff that I was watching, and I was like, oh, wow, did they ever, like, this is impressive.
Even the one point where they go to the view from inside the vehicle, and you're looking out and the windshield's like just dirty.
Yes.
The dust, like when the sunlight hits it, you can see the dust and it obscures your vision somewhat of the road ahead.
Yep.
But then you pass the fallen tree, and oh my freaking God, like the procedurally generated like terrain and stuff.
It's impressive.
Oh my God.
Well, so at the end of the video, they do sort of the reveal, which is, the way this worked is they had actual legitimate modelers and artists create, I think he said it was a 200 meter square section.
Yep.
And that was bespoke. That was everything created by hand. I mean, it'll have been built out with tools and everything else, but they like curated that little chunk. And then they took that and that sort of art form and art language, and they allowed it to procedurally generate. We usually call it outpainting in the 2D world. I don't know if they call it the same thing in 3D. They might. And it basically outpaints to a 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer area. So instead of creating a massive world, you get to basically create a tiny little thing and then have it auto create a whole bunch of shit and then just tweak it where you want it.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was way more impressed with that tech demo than anything that's come out of ChatGPT.
Yeah, this kind of stuff it's got me so excited for this generation of like game development. Yeah. Just seeing like stuff like that, and I can't wait for like a good developer like you see like Naughty Dog. Yeah. You know, taking this and doing something with it, or like
the other thing that they didn't really allude to in the video, but you can imagine what it means for like deformable terrain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if it can procedurally generate that quickly and make live changes and figure out what should happen when a piece is taken away, you can imagine what's going to happen. Maybe not now, but in a couple years, when you're just going to be able to like change the world. You want to dig out a new foundation? That's cool. We can handle that. No problem.
Or like you're climbing a mountain someplace, you dislodge just the right amount of things.
Rockfall, yep.
Or avalanche or anything like that.
It's like playing a rally game. Very, very small example, but playing a rally game where you're going around in a track, but as you're going on the track, it's, tired ruts and whatever, you can never use the same line.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're always constantly having to change your line because of the track degrading and whatnot. So
it's watch the video. Seriously, watch the videos. There are, from time to time, I've like called out a video and it's like, this was really. If you care about video games, go and watch these videos.
Yeah. Insanely impressive.
I think the one is 5 minutes and the other one's 6 minutes. So we're not talking about like hours of viewing here. It's fucking incredible.
It is absolutely
Even
great.
if you don't care about video games, go and watch the videos.
They have a bunch of other
There's
a ton of other stuff that
there's stuff for Fortnite and a
Yeah.
bunch of this, and don't get me wrong, they are all in their own way, they are impressive, but those two were the big standouts for me that were like, oh my god.
Hell yeah. Right on.
Yeah, so there's not too much more to say about that. I mean, we could go on all night about how fucking incredible they were, but honestly, just go and watch the videos.
It's like
another thing that they had mentioned was adding in procedural generation of like birds and bugs and stuff too. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, they weren't just generating the terrain; it was also generating the birds and the bugs and everything else, which does two things. They'll fly around, and B, the sound design. It generates all the sound for it, which is actually super important.
Yeah, I really noticed when they were driving the truck, the sound of it rolling over the stones and whatnot. That was
and I love that sound. That's such an ASMR kind of relaxing sound. It's just a car
crunch.
going over a gravel road.
Honestly, they should just release that tech demo. If Rivian gives them the go ahead, they should just release that tech demo. I would play that as just like a little driving simulator.
Yep.
Fuck
It'd be
around
so
the
good.
woods for a while. That'd be super fun.
But it was a nice little thing to like stun lock us the second we walked through the door here today.
Yeah. yeah, for sure.
because we were like, oh my god, that's so awesome. You were just like, wait,
It
and
gets
it was
better.
like, oh my god, this is so awesome.
Wait.
Yeah, it's holy crap. I showed it to these two in the wrong order. I showed them the truck driving through the forest and then the facial part. You should watch them in the reverse order. You should watch the metahuman first and then the woods. But so should we talk about this senator that doesn't know anything about consoles for a minute?
Oh my god. I wanted to ignore this article so bad when I was looking around today, and it just kept showing up, and I'm like, oh god.
So I think before we get into this, first of all, this is not about party lines or anything else. So if anybody's like, oh, you're getting political, this is about old people in the government having no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Not even old people. It's just people not doing research well.
Yeah. So Sarah found this and added it to our document. When I saw in the document is the first time I had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you explain a little bit more about it, but I wanted to find where the fuck this number came from.
Yeah.
Took me about 15 minutes to find numbers that were this far off. I did find them and we'll link them below, but it was a struggle to find numbers this wrong.
Yeah.
So
basically a senator named Maria Cantwell was made a talk, I don't know, something, whatever it's called down there, on the floor she was speaking against the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. And
Microsoft buying acquisition.
Did I say the other way around?
it was good enough.
Yeah.
They know what
Whatever.
you're talking about.
Continue.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm good at words. Just talking in support of Sony and their displeasure at the idea of it. Or was it the other way around?
I think
no, she was in support of Microsoft.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was
like
gonna say,
rolled
from-
it around in my head so
From
much it switched
context,
around.
this was in favor of Microsoft.
Yes. And so she spoke out basically against Sony and was quoting studies in how it is apparently has a monopoly in Japan, and the Japanese government isn't doing anything to stop it. And just the way that she presented it made it seem like Sony is the only thing that's ever played over there, completely ignoring Nintendo and just everything else over there.
So I did a bit of digging, and the number that she had cited was 98%.
Yep.
Sony, according to her, Sony has a 98% monopoly in the console market. Theoretically in Japan.
Though I believe she did quote it was high-end gaming.
She did say high-end gaming, but I mean,
what does that even mean?
Fuck is high-end gaming, right? So obviously high-end gaming is meant to exclude Nintendo and most other games.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is nonsense to begin with.
No.
first of all, Sony does not have anywhere near 98%, even in Japan. The Xbox has much better penetration than that. I didn't find exact numbers, but because they don't exist, but it's not 98%. And Nintendo has as much or more market share than PlayStation. And this whole like high end, it's like, what the fuck is high end? You can play the same game. Like Microsoft is talking about releasing their AAA titles on Nintendo.
Yeah.
So what do you mean high end?
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, the entire thing was super bullshit. I did find a study from not study. I found a page from StatCounter that showed Sony having a 98% market share. It showed Nintendo was on that, by the way, and it showed them having a 0.5 or 0.05% market share. So to give you an idea of how horribly wrong those numbers were, I'm guessing that's where she got this from, because I could not find anything with that number anywhere, because it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
Except for this StatCounter thing. So I'm guessing somebody went and tried to find the highest number they possibly could and pulled this out of their ass. The actual numbers, I also found the Statista numbers for Japan, which shows PlayStation, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and they look...
Yeah, the top of the list, they misspelled PlayStation wrong. It says Nintendo Switch.
Right?
It's so weird.
That is a very large gap,
by
too.
a huge margin.
Yeah.
19.16 million.
Yeah.
And then that's Nintendo Switch. And then PlayStation 4 is behind them with 7.85 million.
Yeah.
Now, this is as of February 2023. So...
Yeah, so I'd say it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, so I mean, like, the thing is, like, okay, so if you eliminate the Nintendo Switch completely, then okay, you can maybe lie about the numbers a little bit to make it sound ridiculous. But you have to eliminate the PS4, or you have to include the PS4 for starters, because the PS5 has not sold that well because nobody can fucking buy them. And you also have to exclude the Nintendo Switch OLED, which is not what I would call a low-end gaming system.
No.
Like, it's fairly pricey. So, because the OLED Switch has sold more than the PS5.
Yeah.
So,
they have a monopoly in Japan.
Would you believe it? That
Oh my
Nintendo
God.
is doing well in Japan?
No.
So anyways, this...
I mean, isn't Sony going to be open PlayStation World over there soon?
Yeah, right?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, so this is just one of those situations.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody gave one of the like researchers, one of the aides, the go and find me the worst numbers you can possibly find, and somebody found some bad numbers. But this is just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, for the record, why the fuck does a U.S. senator care what the marketplace looks like in Japan?
Yeah, like in the article that one of the articles, because I read a couple of them, it said something about like having to do with trade. But what does the trade? I don't understand what the trade between the U.S. and Japan has to do with Microsoft and Activision.
Yeah, well,
I mean, like there obviously there's going to be some overlap in there, but
if these were products that weren't available in the US and they were using that as a proxy, like, okay, fine, but like they're available in the US numbers exist. Why fuck wouldn't you use those?
Yeah.
Again, somebody was given the directive to find the most damning numbers they possibly could.
I think basically she was just trying to draw the comparison that Sony wanted to become but like, they're not going to. Well, especially the way that they've been acting.
Yeah, and also, I mean, so the cure for, like, even if you took that on face value, so the cure for Sony being a monopoly is to make Microsoft a monopoly instead?
Yeah.
I mean, the only correct answer, the only legitimate answer to any of this is that whether you like or dislike the Activision Microsoft merger, acquisition, whatever, nobody has a monopoly in the console space.
No.
Period. End of story. There are no numbers that back that up. So stop talking about it.
Yeah.
This whole, it's a monopoly. It's like, but it's not. It's not even close to a monopoly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was especially stupid. I enjoy seeing it reminds me of the court cases where it was like Oracle versus Google and like all the other ones where they're technical lawsuits and you see these like senators and stuff just talking full on bullshit.
Like when what's his butt from Facebook was being grilled.
Zuckerberg.
I couldn't think of his name
Well,
there, but that was just some of the questions. It was just kind of like, oh man.
Yeah, the latest one about TikTok that happened the other day was pretty great too. Although in fairness, at least some of those questions were legitimate.
Yeah.
Things like, "Hey, are you storing our data in China?" Like that's a valid question.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah. So that was pretty fucking stupid.
Well, speaking of Nintendo, if you are one of the people that still own the Wii U or the 3DS, this is going to be the last weekend you can buy games from their eShops because they are closing them.
Minor point of order. You don't actually have to own the console, do you? Or can you just buy them?
I think you
through
need
the
to
store?
access the
Yeah,
eShop through the
through
console.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through those specific console stores. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, if there's anything that you wanted to grab from those specific systems, you best get it done this weekend.
For sure.
Which coincides with another story earlier. We were talking about this earlier where somebody, I can't remember, I think it was in the States, spent over $20,000 to buy physical copies of every Wii U game made so that they wouldn't have to get the digital versions on the shop before it closed.
I mean, that's a lot of commitment to Wii U.
Or they bought all of them. Or they bought all the...
Just to be clear, so it's the completionist. It's a YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
And-
now that makes sense.
And that
makes a lot of sense,
that is the reason for this, is that he...
is a completionist.
Well, A, fitting for the channel.
Yep.
B, this is his livelihood. And, he might want to play these games in the future. So, within that context, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For most people, that would not be a sensible purchase. I think I saw the number was something like $20,000 or something like that.
That seems pretty reasonable.
He's got the numbers here on the thumbnail. Actually, $9,600 for the one console and $13,000 and change for the other one. So a little over $20,000.
Damn.
Wow.
Could have just called me. I could have sold him my Wii U for $9,600.
There you go. So I mean, like, obviously in that case, that's as much for the content as anything. I mean, that video alone is probably sponsored and is probably nearly paid for it. But if you, as Jed says, if you have those consoles and have ever considered getting a game and have been putting it off, for the love of God, don't put it off any longer.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
Although for the record, you can still potentially find physical copies in the future.
Oh yeah.
Just don't count on it.
Yeah, any like game swap that you go to, like a swap trade show, whatever, we'll probably have a bunch of them on sale.
But they will also go up in price a lot right after this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So somebody tell me about this WoW achievement.
Yeah, this popped up in my news earlier this week, and I just thought it was really, really cool because it sounds exactly like something I would do because I'm dumb this way. But there is a WoW player that worked on an achievement and finally got it after working on it for 9 years. And he has 100 exalted reputations.
Fuck. This just shows how long it's been since I've played, but I didn't even think there were 100 factions.
Oh, yeah. There definitely is
Wow.
by this point. Well, because if you break it down, it probably wouldn't, well, depending on how long he's also been playing, he would have access to ones that you can't get anymore.
True.
Like vanilla at the end sometime, I think it was at the end of Burning Crusade, for some dumb reason, I decided I wanted to get exalted with Zandalar.
I was going to say, you used to be able to get it for like individual cities and stuff.
Yeah. And, but yeah, like those ones you can't get anymore. The number, well, you probably, with Burning Crusade, I can't remember what those two are called.
There's a bunch, but
you could like exalt it in one and then like let your reputation fall down and do with their opposition and whatnot. So you don't have to keep them all.
I'm just looking at what the expansions are because I'm wondering how many expansions there have been since I've played?
A lot. I've also like looked through my reputation panel, and there's a lot in there now. It's like tabbing through them all and trying to find them is just absolute madness at this point.
So in fairness, there have been 5 expansions since I quit playing, which is the same number as there were before I quit playing. So, all right, that makes it easier to imagine 100 reputations, 100 factions.
I'm simply going to reference a question that our friend John Temple of the Hut asked in our questions thread on the Discord, asking what's the biggest title game everyone has played but I haven't, and it's World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
I've never played it, so I have no idea what the hell y'all are talking about.
Yeah,
Chad has. Oh, sure you do.
You understand reputations.
I'm an old person, okay.
Yeah. So Chad has never played World of Warcraft.
Nope.
But you don't really have any interest in playing World of Warcraft.
Not now.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got interested in it back when it first started, I think I would have. But
Yeah, you think so?
yeah, probably. Depending on what was going on that year. What year was that? 2002, 4, 6?
Well, it's 19 years old.
So a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2004, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might have.
Yeah.
It probably would have gotten me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So for the record, my answer to that question was EVE Online. And this is actually a little bit interesting because I would actually love to play EVE Online. And if and when this becomes our full-time thing, I probably still will if it's still out and working and everything else, which I assume it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not that I don't want to play it. I would love to play it. It's just that I know getting into EVE Online is like, it's a whole lifestyle. You've got to commit to that game. So I've never really, like, I even installed it once, and I think I technically like logged in, and then immediately was just like, oh no, I've made a mistake. I can't do this without, like, this will take weeks to get into. So I would love to play it, but I've never been able to find the time to get into it.
So. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It seems like something that would be, again, too complicated for me.
Well, I think part of it is complexity, and part of it is just like when the game started, you could just hop in and do stuff. Mm-hmm. But the game has evolved so much over the last long time, that now, like, the beginner guides are like, okay, so this is how you go about getting your first frigate, which, like, at the time that it launched, a frigate would have been like that's a big deal getting your frigate. Now it's like, okay, before you start the game, here's how to get your frigate built. Now you can kind of start the game. Yeah. It's like, okay, well,
as long as you don't get screwed over and destroyed by trolls.
Yeah, by the way, this is after you join a guild, because for the love of God, don't try and play it without joining a guild. Yeah. So it's all a little weird. But Sarah, what about you? What's a game that you've never?
Mass Effect?
Yeah, so you're in the same, you're in good company.
Well,
with
no,
them.
I started it.
Started playing one.
Gears of War I've never played. I've never played Halo. I think my list is probably longer than both of you.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, yeah, you've got a handful. All the most popular games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, Gears of War, I think Gears of War was like the predecessor to like the cover-based shooter genre. I think that was really like one of the first ones that kind of came out where that was like one of its big mechanics was staying in cover and shooting, and what made it was the chainsaw added to your machine gun. That's
important.
Yeah. And then Halo, Halo was Bungie's crown jewel, really. Like, that's without Halo, I don't think Bungie would have been as big as they are with Destiny right now. So,
probably not. Yeah. I played a little bit of Halo. I played a little bit of Mass Effect, and I played a little bit. Like, there's a bunch of games that are very popular that I've played, like either the first of the series or part of the first of the series. But I think EVE is the only super popular game that I've never played. Like, legitimately, I cannot call anything I've done with that game playing it.
I'm thinking of more and more games in my head right now.
Sounds like you've got quite the list.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I think back to like Halo, the Halo trilogy, my best memory of that was the third one when me and my brother and our friend Mike Newell, we all played the campaign online, and that was like rad. That was such a blast.
Like all together.
Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
so fun.
So I'm going to flip the script on that one a little bit. So what do you think probably the least well-known game that you've played
The
is?
least well-known game that I've played.
Yeah, like not like I'm the only one in the world who has ever played this game, but like what's a game that you actually put a fair bit of time into that you're pretty sure our listeners have not heard of? For me, it's Tibia.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I put just so much time into it, and very few people know about it.
Probably Morse Cave for you as well.
There are other games that
It's the
I've
greatest
played
game ever made.
because I literally go through the new listings on Steam fairly regularly and pick up things that. I mean, there was one the other day that's like Loopers. It's called Loopers something, and it's this person's first attempt at a game. It's not good. I'm probably one of 3 people in the world that have bought it and played it, but like I don't count that because it's like that doesn't. But like Tibia's been millions of people have played Tibia, just not very many out of the fullness of the world.
Yeah. God, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
I would say because when it initially released on the 360, it was a big deal because they had Kingdoms of Amalur. Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
When that initially released, it was by 38 Studios, which was retired baseball player Kurt Schilling decided to create this game studio. R.A. Salvatore wrote like damn near all of it, and I think Todd McFarlane did some character work, like artwork for it.
Right.
And it was a huge game. Like visually, it kind of had the bright World of Warcraft kind of look, but it was like a Skyrim type game. It was huge. Where you're just doing random like quests, getting new gear. They had different archetypes that you could use with the skill tree and whatever. And it was huge. I dumped probably 150 to 200 hours in the base game and the 2 expansions that came out. I would say that, but they just came out with like an update to it with a new DLC added to it.
Okay, so now people know about it again.
Yeah, but I still don't know if a lot of people have played it though.
Fair enough.
So, but it was a really good game. It was it was amazing.
Yeah, because that was one of the first games that you told me to play when we first started dating. You lent me that and the Wolverine game.
The Wolverine
Oh,
Origins
that game was so good.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you another game that I played. Now this one's super esoteric. Nobody's heard of this one. I played Baldur's Gate. It's this really very little known RPG.
What's that?
Yeah. Did you come up with something?
I mean, there's games in my Steam library that I'm scrolling through right now that I've played, and I know they're not well known. I haven't but they're not huge time sinks. So
that's fine.
I played Maze, which I don't know if I've talked about on the podcast before, but I know I've talked. Yeah,
you've told us about it for sure.
Yeah, so it's sentient corn, and you're in a corn maze.
Yeah.
And there's stuff going on. That one, there's almost no one that knows about that game, I don't think. But I mean, if you want to waste a couple hours and it's on sale, I would recommend it. It's pretty silly.
Fair enough.
What else is on here? Oh, Dust and Elysian Tale. Chad and I played that together.
Yeah, that was actually a really good game.
Yeah.
2D Metroidvania with a absolutely gorgeous hand-drawn art style.
Also Cat Quest.
Yeah, Cat Quest is great.
We've talked about it before. Yeah. But I still haven't played it. I need to play it.
You do. It's so good.
It's the perfect Steam Deck game.
Yes.
Fair.
It really is.
I should grab it. Actually, I think I already bought it. I think it's in my library. I just never actually played it.
Danielle will like it too.
I don't care what she...
Wow. I'm going to tell on you.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't watch the podcast, so you'll have to.
I know.
I'll tell you, I need to get the Steam Deck. I need to get Rogue Tower installed on Steam Deck. So Rogue Tower is a game that I just picked up actually last night. I picked it up at, I'm going to say it was about 8 p.m. And I stopped playing it at 3 a.m. because I thought that if I didn't, I wouldn't be sleeping at all. I was watching an Ambiguous Amphibian YouTube video about it. He had done a live stream with it, and about like 20 minutes into the live stream, because it was a VOD, I wasn't watching it live. I was like, oh, this game actually looks super fun. So I picked it up. It was $17, I think, Canadian. It's a procedurally generated tower defense. So every time you play it, it's different. And it's like, I didn't know this was really a term. Call me a terrible gamer or whatever, but it's a roguelite as opposed to a roguelike, which just means, I guess that's the term people use for a game that has like progression mechanics where when you fail, you get experience or upgrades or whatever that persist into the next round. So in this, you go as far as you can, you get some experience, you buy upgrades to the towers, and then the next however many you get those forever. And it's got a good mix of towers. The enemies are great, like a good mix of enemies. The like boss enemies, the fat guys that come in are super fun. They're each different. I'm gonna play more of it as soon as I'm done editing the podcast tonight. I really enjoying it. Well worth the money.
Yeah. I'm probably going to be playing the Diablo 4 beta.
Yeah, I gotta get back into that to do some more filming.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to play the last beta. So and now you can try out the Necromancer and the Barbarian in this one. So
that's actually a good call out. Just in case anyone wasn't aware, I'm sure you are by now, but anyone in the world can play this beta. You do not need any sort of a pre-order to play this beta. You can just go on Battle.net and just download the whatever version. Including consoles.
I logged in just shortly after noon. The wait time said 35. I don't think it was 35 minutes at all.
Yeah.
But I got in. It seems to be a lot more stable this time around.
Ever since day 2, it's been way less crashy. It's been a lot better.
Yeah, and the Necromancer is OP as fuck.
Badly.
Like insanely OP as fuck.
Is it more so than in? It was a Necromancer. There's a Necromancer in 3,
the
right?
Necromancer was like the last DLC in Diablo 3.
I feel like when the Necromancer was first released in 3, it was pretty OP, and then they fixed it. I think, probably similar.
And also, to be fair, the Witch Doctor was a lot like the Necromancer in Diablo 3. So
we also, in fairness, like we're only getting to play until level 25. The balance up to that point doesn't mean shit anyway. So it may balance at the end game. I suspect it won't. The video that I posted about this, the skills being a disappointment, which I stand by. I am super disappointed in the way the skills have been presented in 4. But
I don't like the inventory.
The inventory is a fucking train wreck.
I think the inventory system that they had with 3 was a lot better.
Way better.
They went back to an inventory style similar to Diablo 2, and I don't like it.
No, I agree. The inventory, the changes that they made to the inventory are super dumb.
Yeah.
I've not talked to anyone who liked them yet.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
And the loot mechanics in general, like so at least on the console versions of 3, you'd like pick up an upgrade and there'd be like a quick menu that you could just automatically equip. Like you very quickly, not automatically, but very quickly equip upgrades, which made leveling a treat. None of that's there. And it's weird because it's like, why would you take away a mechanic that worked so well? like
even just making it an accessibility feature. Like, even if they like, you know what I mean? Like just even something like that.
Sure. But like, why not just make it the default? Like, and there's so many of those things where like the inventory is worse. The mechanics for looting are worse. Comparing items is worse. The crafting is cool. Like the crafting and the blacksmith and the potion stuff is all cool. I like that. The gambling is better. Because it's more explicit about like what you get is very clear. So the Kadala equivalent is great. That was an upgrade. But I was telling Chad, like I feel like most of Diablo 4 is a downgrade from Diablo 3. Personally.
It's like I said, I just started playing it myself, so the small little bite size I've had of it, I ended up pre-ordering it just because I was enjoying it. Like we're right now, like a lot of the environments and stuff are very drab looking, but I imagine that's going to change once you get later on and the full game comes out.
We've only seen one act.
Yeah,
right?
so I'm not too...
Honestly, I actually have I personally feel this a little bit. Like, everybody keeps telling me about how it's more dark and gritty than Diablo 3, and it might be. But at the same time, I'm like, are you sure that's not just Act 1? Like,
yeah,
it could just be Act 1.
Yeah, yeah.
The acts didn't all look the same in Diablo 3.
No, and that's the thing. Like, Diablo 3 started off similar, where it was like very dark and like foreboding, and you know, and
very
and then all of a sudden you're in a desert.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. It'll be interesting, but
I'm looking forward to playing it, and hopefully a lot of these criticisms that people have been throwing at them, I hope that they really take them to heart and implement.
Well, so far they're not.
No, of course
not. So first of all, I want to be clear, because I sound like a complete curmudgeon about this. I can simultaneously think that Diablo 4 is a downgrade to Diablo 3 and accept that I will have a blast playing it. So like when I say like, oh, it's not as good as Diablo 3 because of X, that doesn't mean I don't think it's fun. I just legitimately think it's a downgrade. Like, there's a number of things in 4 that I looked at and I'm like, what? This was perfect in 3, or at least damn close to it. Why did you break it? What the fuck is wrong with you? So and other people will tell me I'm an idiot and I'm wrong, but I don't know. 3 was great. 4 so far is like, it's fine.
Quidjibo.
So we were talking earlier. The reason that I don't hold out a lot of hope that they're gonna fix things in the short term, and by short term I mean first like 6 months. So there was a lot of talk about the dungeon mechanics in 4 being pretty shitty. One of the major ones being like, you have to get keys to open a door to proceed through the dungeon. And Blizzard, one of the Blizzard devs or community managers or whatever, responded on the forum saying like, we hear you. We understand that it sucks to like run back and get a key through an empty dungeon. So our solution to this is that we're going to look at repopulating the dungeon while you run back to get the key. And everyone looked at that and said, like, what the fuck are you on about? That's not the problem. That makes it worse. So, yeah, I don't think Blizzard understands what Diablo is. Like, I don't know how that happened, but I feel like people have moved on or something, and they actually don't understand what the game is supposed to be. Because the fact that they made it an MMO in the first place kind of speaks to that for me. Like, Diablo is not meant to be an MMO. If you wanted to bring WoW to the console, just fucking bring WoW to the console. It will be crap, but you can do that.
Yeah. I also hate the fact that this freaking demo is always online.
Yeah, well,
I
I agree. I feel your pain. I agree with your, but at the same time, there was never any. Even Diablo 3 was always online.
Yeah, I know.
So
damn it.
Blizzard is never going to make another game that's not online. So, and at this point, it doesn't look like they're going to ever make another game that's not a fucking MMO.
Yeah.
Like I remember reading from Blizzard that no, we're not going to make Diablo a Diablo MMO because that would be stupid and it's not what people want. I remember them saying that. So what the fuck?
Well, to be fair, Overwatch is a PvP shooter, so
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
For now.
Overwatch is the next Destiny.
Give it a month.
Yeah.
So and then the weird thing to me is like they made it an MMO, which I don't think anyone wanted, and everything else. And then they took out the cool parts of Diablo 3, the cool online, like the gifts that you would get that you could send to people on your list. And also I want to call them aspects, but I don't think that's what they were. If you died, like a powerful version of you would show up, like it was like a demonic version of you would show up in other people's games to kill them.
Yeah.
That shit was fun.
We kept running into that when we played that one time, when we all linked up in LAN. We would always like, somebody would die and then later on be like, oh my God, I'm killing myself. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that shit was fun.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you take that out? It's like we took out all the good parts of online and added in MMO shit that nobody wanted. Like, who the fuck is running this stuff?
But again, it might be there in the full release. We don't know.
We don't know.
It's just an open beta, so, but we're mad.
Yeah, well, just to be clear, I'm not actually mad. Like, I mean, it's not like, oh, I'm desperately pissed and everything. Honestly, I kind of expected a bunch of this.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, I don't know who put this all together and then stood back and like and maybe the problem is that they didn't, but like I can't imagine somebody running Diablo 3 on one TV and Diablo 4 on the other TV and like playing through the two games and being like, we made it better.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's worse. It's a worse game. It will probably become a better game in time.
Yeah.
But it is a worse game right now. And I'm like, did you not start with Diablo 3 and then improve it? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and how long did that take, before Diablo 3 became what it is today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And totally fair. And that's why, like, I'm sure Diablo 4 will evolve into something epic. It's just that it's like, you had a great starting point. You could have just worked from there instead of starting from scratch and making it worse. Super weird. Super weird. But I will be playing a little bit more this weekend because I got to get a whole bunch more stock footage because I do want to make at least 2 more videos about Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Talking about some of the stuff that we were just chatting about and also what the new stuff looks like. And I need more footage for that.
Yeah.
So I will be sending in, and I'm taking the opportunity to play it on PC this weekend.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, because of course I can. So
Yep.
why not?
Yep.
Might as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So moving on, which do we want to tackle here?
Well, I'm gonna talk about this is stupid. I'm gonna talk about the Cardamundi thing,
Right.
Cardamundi, which by the way is not stupid, and I don't mean to make light of this. So there was I'm going to call it a factory, but I think that's not quite the right word for it. I think they called it a plant. Cardamundi does cards and card-related things, card stocky sort of stuff for games. And one of their plants is closing down because it wasn't making money anymore. Now, I've seen a number of news articles talking about Cardamundi is shutting down. It's like, no. A plant is shutting down. And it sucks. There's, I guess, like 270 people that are going to lose their jobs. And, that's horrible. And I feel for them. The reason I was chuckling about it is because it was the headline was, Cardamundi plant in Waterford shut down. I grew up in Waterford, Ontario. This is Waterford, like Ireland or something. But that just grabbed my attention. I was like, yay, hometown, represent, except not at all. But that's what drew my attention to it. Anyways, so, I mean, Cardamundi is a huge plant. From my understanding is that on the global scale, this makes absolutely no difference. They just aren't going to be manufacturing there anymore. But, always sucks to see any board game stuff going offline.
Yeah, it's sad.
On the other hand, all projections I've seen are that the board game industry is going to grow by like 2x over the next little while. So
yeah,
it shouldn't be a trend. One-off sort of thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sarah?
What?
Mohawk Sisters in Quebec created a visual novel for kids to help them teach the Mohawk language?
Yeah, so I was reading the article, and it was these two sisters. I can't remember the name of the town they originally are from, but currently they are in Montreal. And they learnt some of the Mohawk language when they were children in school, but because there wasn't very many places for them to actually use it, they lost the language, and their parents were never taught it. And so their grandparents fluently spoke it. And it's pretty well known at this point that a lot of languages has the potential for being lost in North America for First Nations. And so these two sisters have developed basically a visual novel, and it's all in the Mohawk language. I would say their names and the actual thing, but no, I have more respect for them than to allow my mouth to butcher that.
So I was just gonna say I want to be careful about how I say this because I'm not trying to be insensitive. But the game name is very clearly in this language. I'm sure it means something holy fuck, there's no chance. Like if I was going to tell somebody about this game, there's no chance I could give them the name.
Yeah, no.
That they maybe should have considered an English name for the game.
Well, or at least had it in brackets with the English
Something,
name
yeah.
is.
Like I will post it so that you can find it if you want.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have the utmost respect for what they're doing. I could not pronounce that to save myself.
No, and it doesn't help as well either that like our regular keyboards don't have the accents that go on these
Right.
letters too. So you couldn't even look up how to pronounce these in a even half decent way. But they've created this visual novel, and it's they in the article that we have, there's a link to it being available in the Google Play Store, and they are hoping to release some other games too in different First Nations languages to make them available to everyone, basically.
which is super cool.
Yeah, that's really neat.
And for the record, I was just looking into this. The game, of course, has full like pronunciation and everything else. So presumably, once you've played the game, you would then be able to pronounce the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about like learning the written. You're learning the speaking, the language, spoken language as well.
Not regularly a written language to begin with. It's a they didn't have. Well, they probably have some form of writing. I can't remember. I've discussed
they
this
must
with
for
my
the
sister.
accents and stuff.
Yeah, but traditionally it's a more spoken
which is very
language.
common among indigenous languages. Yeah,
it's kind of wild because I remember when I played through Valhalla.
I was going to bring that up too.
There's a section in Valhalla where you travel to colonial like Newfoundland.
Yeah,
and you run into a tribe of Native Americans. I don't know what tribe off the top of my head, but they speak nothing but their native tongue.
Yeah.
And even the subtitles are in their native tongue. So you have I had no idea what they were saying. But it immersed you because shit. Even like your character Ivar was like trying to use like axe, bird, whatever, like trying to communicate with these Native Americans. And it was incredible. Like
I like
it
that
was
stuff.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I actually really like when I forget what game I was playing, but there was a flashback to like ancient Egypt, and they were doing their best to, I mean, obviously there's only so much you can do when it's a dead language, but I like it when games do that, where they like go back and they're like, no, we're not going to handhold you. Like this is, I want to remind you that not everybody in the world speaks English or whatever your native tongue is. Yeah. I like that. I think that's great. And I think this is great. Yeah. My problem is that I would really struggle to tell anybody about this game simply because I don't think I could pronounce that.
Yeah.
We'll
link.
Fortunately, we have the internet and we have hyperlinks.
Yep.
So.
I'm trying. I think in the Assassin's Creed game it was. I want to say it was a dialect of the here we go.
Is it Assassin's Creed I was thinking of?
For what, your Egyptian one?
Yeah.
There was an Egyptian version of that game called Origins. It was based in around that time.
It might have been that game that I was thinking.
Yeah, so I think there was some of that there, and then Valhalla had the Newfoundland area. I don't know, maybe it wasn't. I thought it might have been part of the Anishinaabe, but I don't think they were that far east. So
yeah.
All right, well, we need to hurry up because me and all my senior friends in Sweden got to get our Counter-Strike team together so we can prepare for this tournament we're going to play in.
Yeah, so the reason Chad's an old man suddenly, he's always an old man.
He is.
Yeah. So Counter-Strike 2 is out. It was like stealth dropped 3 days ago, something like that. I'm sure there will be people that are very happy about this and very excited. It's weird though, because Counter-Strike is one of those games that, so I haven't played since Source, so a long time ago. And for anyone who doesn't know about Counter-Strike, for some reason, it started as a Half-Life mod and has since taken on a life of its own. A bunch of the comments that I saw were basically like, well, I'm going to keep playing 1.6, or, well, nothing since Counter-Strike Source has ever existed, or like that sort of like culty sort of faction-y behavior, which doesn't surprise me because I kind of knew that even back in the day. Like there were people like, no, Source is terrible. I'm going to keep playing original Counter-Strike and stuff. And I'm like, whatever, you do you. But it was interesting to see that that's still alive and well in that community.
Yeah.
I will say though, the tech demo that I saw was all about like shooting holes in the smoke from smoke grenades. And it's mildly cute what they've done, but it's super fucking unrealistic. So like you've got the smoke grenade, which first of all looks completely bogus. It's just like this sphere of bad smoke texture instead of an actual smoke grenade. And then if you shoot it, it like puts a very temporary hole in the smoke that you can like see through. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't happen.
No.
So why? It was just super weird. They made this so I think the bigger part of it was that if you throw a smoke grenade, it will now like if you throw it into a curved room, it will actually like curve with the room. Like it will actually form to the room that you throw it in.
That's kind of cool.
It is. That part's kind of cool. But the rest of it, I was like, that's all nonsensical bullshit.
Yep.
Why are you doing this? But anyways, there's probably tactical reasons, like balance reasons for it that I don't know and don't care about. I'm sure lots of people will probably be happy about it. But Chad
I'm pretty happy about it.
As a result of me mentioning that, Chad found.
What did I find?
Come on now.
Why are you being old?
Oh, it's because all of my team of seniors in Sweden, we're gonna join up a tournament. We're gonna win it in Counter-Strike.
Yep. Yeah.
Or in English, there's a seniors only 60 plus Counter-Strike team that is trying to. Well, you guys said they're trying to compete in a game. I assume they're trying to like be competitive. Would be a better way.
Yeah,
of putting it.
they want to get into a tournament.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna do it, damn it.
So yeah, I mean, best of luck to them. They won't succeed. I'd be shocked if they did. I
mean, in 20 years or more. Well, 20 years for Chad.
Stop being a fucking doomer.
Gen X and millennials will definitely be like leading those tournaments, I think.
Well, so
there will be
there will be categories.
Categories, yeah.
Right. Like, don't get me wrong. I can tell you that my reaction time has dropped. Like, I still have pretty quick reactions for my age, but like they've dropped. I used to be faster. I know because I like kept track of this stuff when I was younger because I actually played a lot of yeah, right. They've gone down, and I can only imagine in the next 20 years they're going to go down a bunch more. So I don't think they're going to. I mean, getting into a tournament maybe.
Yeah.
Actually meaningfully competing. All the luck in the world and you know, good thoughts to them and everything else, but no.
I think that is kind of like a signal to the need of different
for sure.
For categories or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
100%.
Yeah. Because it's definitely going to be a need for that as our age group ages. So
for sure. And hey, maybe these like senior citizens are fucking godlike when it comes to FPS.
Who knows?
But I can't imagine that I will be, even if I were to continue to practice, I can't imagine that I would be in a competitive situation in 24 years when I become 60. There's no fucking way. I don't see that happening. The games are too fast and they're getting faster, not slower.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of practice, I think it's time we wrap this one up because I gotta go practice.
Yeah,
like
old man.
And subscribe. Oh, my thumb's gonna feel that one in the morning.
We lost Chad somewhere along the way. All right, thanks so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.
Where's my goddamn Ovaltine?